markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Brief. Asian markets start the week higher as investors cautiously welcome the prospect of U.S. interest rate cuts. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's dovish shift has futures pricing in an 84% chance of a quarter-point cut in September and at least 100 basis points of easing to 3.25 to 3.50% by mid-2026. Investors are also watching NVIDIA's earnings this week to see if results can justify the sector's high valuations. Australia's ASX is flat while the rest of the region's benchmarks are in the green. On currencies, the US dollar appreciates against the Japanese yen and South Korean won. It is flat against the Singapore dollar and Thai baht, while losing ground to the Hong Kong dollar. The Australian dollar, on the other hand, is flat against the greenback. In commodities, gold slips 0.2% while oil prices edge higher. In crypto, Bitcoin is flat with a slight downward bias, while Ethereum falls nearly 2%. A DPWH engineer in Batangas has been arrested for allegedly offering millions in kickbacks to a lawmaker to cover up substandard projects. Hanati has more.
Impunity laid bare. A DPWH district engineer is under arrest after trying to bribe a lawmaker with up to 360 million pesos in kickbacks. Batangas 1st District Engineer Abelardo Calalo allegedly offered Congressman Leandro Leviste a 5 to 10% cut from 3.6 billion peso worth of flood control projects. In exchange, the young lawmaker would drop an investigation into ghost and substandard works in his district. In a Bilyonaryo.com article, investigators say the engineer came prepared with cash. He handed 3.6 million pesos up front, promised another 15 million the next day, and even pitched a bigger 15 to 20% cut from the 2026 budget. Authorities reveal he named contractors who would remit the shares and even offered to arrange meetings and helped collect payments, calling it standard operating procedure at DPWH. The PNP moved in, staging an entrapment operation inside the lawmaker's office. They seized the bag of cash and a list of ongoing projects before placing Calalo in custody. Leviste's office later confirmed this and stressed that corruption in DPWH must not be tolerated. They add that the public deserves projects of higher quality at lower cost, and contractors must be obligated to fix defects immediately without adding burden to taxpayers. Leviste also vowed to pursue broader reforms to fix what he called systemic issues in the agency, from questionable bidding practices to defective projects that drain public funds. Senator Ping Lacson saluted Leviste for exposing the kickback scheme and adds, "May his tribe increase." Lacson himself earlier exposed the anomalies of flood control projects in a privileged speech last week. The case against Calalo will be formally filed on Tuesday. If proven, it would be the first major arrest of a DPWH official since President Bongbong Marcos warned officials and lawmakers involved in infrastructure graft.
Mahiya naman kayo.
Hanati, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Sa mga utang na ginawa ninyo.
Politico.com reports that Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong could be in line to take over as DPWH Secretary. This comes after the mayor was seen with President Bongbong Marcos inspecting infrastructure damage along Cannon Road over the weekend. Magalong has been one of the most vocal local executives against corruption in public works, claiming that only 30 to 35% of project funds actually go to construction. Calls have also grown for current DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan to step down amid the controversy over flood control projects. A highly contentious bill opening the door to more telco players in the Philippines has now lapsed into law. The details from Hanati.
The controversial Konektadong Pinoy Act has become law without President Bongbong Marcos' signature. It lapsed into law over the weekend. Author Senator Amy Marcos welcomed this and says the law will lower internet prices, improve service, and give students special discounts. She argues no Filipino should be left behind because of costly connections. The presidential sister earlier reminded PBBM not to be influenced by powerful telcos, and if her name was the reason the bill wouldn't be signed, then just remove it, just so life won't be harder for Filipinos. For her, it's time to break the decades-old duopoly and provide faster, more affordable internet, especially in remote communities. Sponsor Senator Alan Peter Cayetano calls it a step to modernize digital infrastructure to be aligned with other ICT reforms like e-governance. The ICT Secretary Henry Aguda says the law is crucial for online government services. The agency must complete the implementing rules in 90 days. But the PCTO, or the Philippine Chamber of Telecommunications Operators, representing Globe and PLDT, earlier warned the law removes safeguards. They say new players could enter without proving financial or cybersecurity readiness. The law exempts new players from securing a franchise or certificate of public convenience and necessity, removing a key safeguard for regulation. Critics warn this lowers accountability and opens the door to unvetted operators. On top of that, the law gives them 2 years before meeting cybersecurity standards, which may raise risks of attacks. PLDT earlier said the law may be questioned in court, while Globe asked that it be sent back to Congress for review. Consumer group Digital Pinoys welcomes the law, but says cybersecurity risks and consumer protections must be clearly spelled out in the rules. The DICT will now ensure that this legislation will deliver real, tangible benefits to Filipinos as soon as possible. Hannah T, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The Philippines has finally joined the rest of the world in breaking down barriers to internet infrastructure. That's according to Jose Luis Dabao, CEO of KCAT Incorporated, on BNC's Business 360, after the Konektadong Pinoy bill lapsed into law. Dabao describes this as a historic milestone for the country. The measure, also known as the Open Access in Data Transmission Bill, seeks to expand internet coverage, simplify licensing for service providers, and open the market to new and smaller players.
It's really the big signal to the whole world that the Philippines is open now for the digital transmission business, and we're ready to accept all investments for connectivity. It's not just a win for the admin or the country, or it's really for everybody involved who's going to connect to the internet.
Dabao adds that the law will remove the barriers preventing 40% of Filipino households from having fiber internet connection.
And the Konektadong Pinoy will remove one of the big barriers for that, and that's making it difficult for small players to lay out their infrastructure. With the change in the regulatory regime, we can expect more small players to come in and expand their infrastructure into these areas to bring these homes online. And as they bring these homes online, we can also expect that the upstream bandwidth and the middle mile costs are also going to go down as we buy more across the board because our users are going to use more bandwidth, and we expect also more competition as we can see more players coming in to those sectors also.
The Philippine Nickel Industry Corporation calls for the immediate release of Joseph C. He's the chairman of the Global Ferronickel Holdings Incorporated. Immigration authorities apprehended C upon his arrival at the NAIA on August 21st. The BI identified him as Chen Zhongzhen, Chinese national who held long-term visas in the Philippines. But the PNIA says the incident sends the wrong message to the business and investment community at a time when the Philippines is working to boost investor confidence in the mining industry. It adds that no Filipino deserves to be treated this way. Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Francis Lim told Bilyonaryo.com that they will look into the matter. We're taking a short break. More business stories are up next. You're watching Business Brief. You're back on Business Brief. Power consumers may get some relief after the Energy Regulatory Commission cleared Meralco to source 100 megawatts of baseload supply from Aboitiz Power's coal-fired plant. In a decision dated August 22, the ERC granted interim relief to Meralco and GN Power Dinginin Limited Company for their supply agreement at an annual capacity rate of 17,228 pesos. This translates to 1 peso and 97 centavos per kilowatt hour, excluding fuel and other charges. The regulator says the rates are lower than previously approved agreements for the same plant. The decision took into account competitive selection process compliance, the supply-demand outlook, key PSA features, bid prices, and rate evaluation. The move comes as power costs remain a major pressure point for both households and businesses, making supply deals like this critical to stabilizing energy rates and supporting economic growth. Motorists will have to tighten their belts as oil companies are set to raise pump prices starting Tuesday. In an advisory, Sea Oil announced diesel prices will increase by 50 centavos per liter, kerosene by 30 centavos, and gasoline for the second straight week by 70 centavos. Energy Assistant Director Rodela Romero says the Iran-Israel conflict is pushing global crude costs higher. Jetty Petroleum President Leo Bellas also points to the war in Ukraine as another source of uncertainty for world oil markets. The auto industry is about to get more crowded as the Bilyonaryo Citin family launches a new player into the market. Backed by fresh badges, an electric vehicle push, and a next-generation leader at the helm, the move promises more choices for consumers and stiffer competition in an industry already in transition. Our mobility correspondent, G. Baroga, has the details.
It's a fresh new chapter for car brands Lynk & Co and BAIC as they officially opened their flagship showrooms in Quezon City. Both brands fall under the wing of United Asia Automotive Group Inc. or UAAGI, led by Bilyonaryo Romel Citin.
More business, more sales, more cars, more traffic.
The Citin family isn't new to the automotive scene. In the late 1990s, they built Subic-based United Auctioneers Inc. into a powerhouse of used Japanese vehicles, popularizing large-scale auctions of trucks, heavy equipment, and industrial gear. The clan also runs UAAGI, stewarding brands such as Photon, Cherry, Lynk & Co, and BAIC under Romel's watch. The showroom opening signals a leadership transition within UAAGI as Romel eases out of the spotlight and his son Timothy steps in to lead.
So Lynk & Co and BAIC has been a growing brand since last year. We've been very happy with the consistent growth that we've been experiencing, and we expect to boost that further with the presence of Lynk & Co and BAIC North EDSA.
Officially launched in April 2024, UAAGI is determined to make Lynk & Co stand out in a very crowded market.
We continue to boost our exposure, we continue to boost our products, let people feel how good our products are. We believe people really won't experience Lynk & Co until you drive our vehicles.
Born from the global partnership of Volvo and Geely, Lynk & Co combines Swedish engineering with Chinese innovation. The latest model to arrive in the Philippines is the 08 EMP hybrid SUV, which offers up to 1,400 kilometers of range.
On top of that, it can go up to 205 kilometers on pure electric power, a big plus for drivers looking for both performance and sustainability. For dealer principal Vince Licup, it's clear that Chinese car brands are no longer the underdog.
Chinese car sells around 2,000 units per month, or 24,000 annually. Almost double from barely 5 years. Remember, we have the pandemic.
Also flying in for the big event was Jeff Gao, Regional Director for Link & Co East Asia, who gave BNC Mobility a look into where the brand fits in the Geely family.
I want to go upgrade and to capture the premium segment. And we also import the pure EV car to Philippines. And Link & Co, their mission are different. Link & Co, we want to get the high-end segment. And Link & Co is good at the hybrid technology. You know the EMP is the most advanced technology in hybrid. So when the car goes on the high-speed way, so it will switch, use the gasoline automatically. And when it meets the traffic jam, it switch to use electric.
Even Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte attended the launch, showing her support for the future of sustainable mobility while staying true to her advocacy for public transportation.
Kapag may bagong development sa lungsod Quezon, kailangan may kasama na po ang charging infrastructure. Dahil ang assumption po doon, perhaps half of the vehicles there at some point will already be electric, and we will need to put all of the support mechanisms.
With a fresh lineup, bold ambitions, and the next generation at the helm, Yuwa Agi is clearly steering into the future, and they're not looking back. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
The Insurance Commission has officially placed Caritas Health Shield Incorporated under liquidation. The IC had previously placed Caritas under receivership in August 2023 to consolidate and protect its assets for members and creditors. This order halted claim settlements and other financial obligations unless approved by the receiver. The IC first issued a cease and desist order in July 2019, citing unauthorized swiping and misrepresentations by agents and sales associates. With the liquidation, members are urged to check their names on the online verification portal. Those not listed, along with other claimants, must file claims with liquidator attorney Jose Barcelon by March 2, 2026. We're taking another breather. You're watching Business Brief. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelenskiy attended a defense forum on Sunday with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. This as Kyiv seeks to boost defense cooperation with allied nations ahead of a possible peace deal with Russia. Carney was shown some of Ukraine's latest weapons equipment production as Ukraine celebrates its Independence Day. In his message, Zelenskiy thanked various countries for their support in his country's war with Russian invaders.
We know each other very well, and we had so many meetings together, and I think that the result of all our meetings is understanding each other. We are very thankful for your support. We are very thankful to your nations. First of all, we are very thankful to your leaders, governments, and to yourself. Thank you so much for your long-term support for Ukraine.
Canada is easing up on its trade war with the United States. Prime Minister Mark Carney says his country will lift some of its billions of dollars worth of retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. But levies will remain on automobiles, steel, and aluminum. The announcement comes a day after Carney and President Donald Trump spoke over the phone, their first conversation since both countries missed a self-imposed deadline for a new trade deal. Canada had earlier slapped a 25% levy on U.S. goods worth $21 billion in response to Washington's own tariffs. Carney said Canada will now match the U.S. by dropping duties on goods compliant with the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Free Trade Agreement. The move takes effect September 1st. Fresh violence erupts in the Middle East as Israeli airstrikes hit the Yemeni capital Sana'a. At least 2 people were killed and 35 others wounded on Sunday after strikes pounded multiple locations in the city. Firefighters raced to contain blazes triggered by the attacks. Israel's defense minister said the targets included the presidential palace and 2 power plants. The strikes came in retaliation for Houthi missiles fired towards Israel.
The Houthi terror regime is learning the hard way that it is paying and will continue to pay a very heavy price for its aggression against the state of Israel. Whoever attacks us, we attack them. Whoever plans to attack us, we attack them. I believe the entire region is learning about the strength and determination of the state of Israel.
And that's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again tomorrow as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business, only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. See you then.